Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Katherine and today we're going to be talking about this clip from the Matt Walsh show that really kind of grinded my gears for the specific reason that Matt Walsh was coming out and saying that dating apps are just not good to use. However, Matt, where did you meet your wife?
How did you meet your wife?
I met her online.
Okay, so this man met his wife online, this wife that he talks about all the time, how much he loves her, how wonderful she is, how he would pick her in a million lifetimes so they have a bunch of kids together. So he clearly loves his wife and he met his wife online. So I'm gonna come out in a little bit of defense of dating apps during this video, so I hope you can enjoy it. I will say that he does a full video on this young man's Tinder profile, which is so disgusting. This young man had a Tinder profile with a vulgar image of woman on one of his t-shirts. So like watch his whole video if you're looking for dating app like guidance and suggestions, because he actually does give some good advice. But yeah, just men do need to do a better job with some of their dating app pictures. Maybe they'll be able to find dates that way. But here, let's watch this clip.
Dating apps operate in one dimension. You are reduced to a picture and a few details on a screen.
That is true. However, you need some of those details on that screen. For example, if you are like me and you are a practicing Catholic, which I assume is why you're watching this video, there's not a lot of practicing Catholics out there. Dating apps give us the opportunity to really show off that we are practicing Catholics and to meet other practicing Catholics. If you're in the South, where there's not a lot of Catholics, especially because it's mostly Protestant, dating apps might be good to single out, and especially on Hinge, because you can reduce it to Catholics only, find practicing Catholics. If you're like me and you are conservative in a blue state, it's good because then you can select conservatives only, or you have the thing on there that shows that they're conservative. That's really important if you are looking for only a special conservative. For example, I have met men out in public and then they ask me on a date, but then somehow the election comes up and it turns out they voted a different way, and then they have asked me to walk into Fifth Avenue and have wished death upon me because they were not conservative and didn't vote for the same person as me. So it's honestly, I really like dating apps for the reason that it gives you a few details, but those are details that you do need, in my opinion, to have a solid relationship. That's just not something I'm willing to compromise on, is politics and religion. But let's see what else he says.
We like to think of this as kind of a modern, cutting-edge approach to dating, but it's actually extremely primitive. It's even animalistic. Because on a dating app, as a man, the mating ritual reduces you to the level of a bird in the rainforest, trying to attract the female's attention by showing off your colorful feathers and bright, elaborate plumage. Only in your case, you're competing against thousands of other birds occupying the same tree branch. Only about 5 to 10% of the male birds have feathers impressive enough to even be in the running. The other 95% are dancing around and making fools of themselves basically for no reason.
I just don't buy this. That's always the thing that comes up, is only the attractive men are getting the likes on dating apps. Okay, if you are like me and you're of the age where you're going to a bunch of weddings, a lot of the couples are of the similar attractive style, right? There are women who don't take care of themselves, all right? That sounds harsh. But the women who don't take care of themselves tend to get with men who also don't take care of themselves. They are the same level of attraction, especially when you are young. I only see women with men who are of equal attractiveness, or the women are more attractive. I never see men who are more attractive than the woman. That's just not something that happens. Maybe if they've been married for like 20, 30 years, maybe the man aged better than the wife. Maybe, but at this age, when people are getting together and getting married when they are young, the woman is always just more attractive. So I just don't buy that only the attractive men are the ones getting the attention, because you know what? Then like there's all these unattractive women out there too. I'm sorry, there are unattractive women out there. I guess we get to help with makeup and stuff and doing our nails. It's easier to maybe come off as more attractive as a woman or grow into that. So there are unattractive women out there too who have a lot of trouble getting men. So I don't believe it I understand it probably hurts a lot more for men to get constantly rejected, but that's kind of what being a man is putting yourself, being the initiator, putting yourself out there for the women. Yes, being a bird in the rainforest with his plumage. Yes, but that's what men do all the time. You go to a bar and men are supposed to be the ones coming up to the women asking them if they would like to buy a drink or dance or talk or whatever. Men are always supposed to be the initiators. That's just human biology. Men are supposed to be the initiators. They're showing off their colors. And you know what? The guys that dress up like bums are not going to get as much attention as the guys who dress nicely. And there are different men for different women, right? There are women who love men with full sleeves of tattoos. There are women who love that. There are men who love women with full sleeves of tattoos. But a lot of women and a lot of men are going to be turned off by that on either side of the aisle, on either sex. So yeah, it's just, there's different men for different women. And yes, it's always gonna be the men out there like a bird, peacocking, trying to get the attention of the women. But the women are also trying to get attention too, right? If a girl comes in and isn't dressed well, he's not gonna show as much attention as he might to a woman who's dressed better. So this is true for both genders.
Prior to dating apps taking over the world, we as humans had developed a far more sophisticated and meaningful process for finding a mate. And the process was often arranged marriage, which, as I've said before, is way better than this Tinder stuff. Dating apps.
Okay, so arranged marriages. Maybe that worked back in the day. I don't think we have any statistics on whether or not women and men were happier back then, whether or not like cheating was reduced or and whatnot back then. Obviously, everything was different back then when there was dating, when there was arranged marriages. Everything was different. Nowadays, I don't think we could ever go back to arranged marriages because who are single right now? It's the Gen Z and the millennials. And who are the parents of the Gen Z and the millennials? The Gen X and the boomers. What are they known for? They're known for their high divorce rates. If your parents are divorced, do you really think they have what it takes to find you a good spouse? They couldn't even find a good spouse themselves. Speaking strictly from the practicing Catholic perspective right here, which is that a lot of my friends' parents don't go to church, are not religious, or my friends are converts. So are these parents really looking out for what is best for their children? You know, even like some of my friends' parents, like my friends go to mass every single day, whereas their parents go Christmas, Easter, maybe even Sundays, but like not as much. It's just, we're looking for different things for us than what our parents are looking for. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe your parents do know best, but I do think at the end of the day, you're the one who has to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes with this person, has to go on all the vacations with them, has to go to basically every social function that isn't exclusively men and women. You have to go to all, like everything. You have to do all this with your spouse. You have to climb in bed with this person every single night. You should have the best judgment over your parents. You just should know what you want better than your parents, than the arranged marriages. And of course, arranged marriages do not mean no consent marriages. He's not saying that parents should be setting up their children and there shouldn't be any consent. But I don't have a problem with parents setting their children up on dates. Your mom has a really great friend in the knitting club and she wants to set you up with her son. I think that's wonderful. If parents want to set children up on dates, that's wonderful, but the children have the right to refuse. You know, if your parents are trying to set you up with a man who lives really far away and you don't want to be in a long distance relationship, I think you have 100% the right to refuse. If you're of a different political aisle than the person your mom wants to set you up with, I think you have the right to refuse. I think you have the right to refuse for whatever reason. So here's my advice for finding a good Catholic spouse. Instead of arranged marriages, I think priests really need to start taking a role in the young adults of America. Now, in my city, it's mostly people in their 20s and 30s who are going to mass. There are a few families, but there's not that many families because it's hard to raise a family in a city like this. So the priest knows a lot of the young people, so why not after mass, when the priest walks out of the church, why isn't he kind of just like saying, hey, Mary, meet Jim? You know, Mary runs the young adult group. Maybe you should go talk to her. Or, hey, are you new to the parish? Go talk to so-and-so in the young adult group. Like, really start, when he's shaking hands with like every single person that comes out of the church, start trying to fill those connections. I'm not saying the priest should walk up to someone and say, hey, go ask Cindy out on a date. She's great. She's your age. Maybe you guys will hit it off. But I'm saying just make those introductions. And people love to say, priests don't have time to run young adult groups, or they don't have time to be introducing people to everyone. Oh my gosh, what do you think the priest is supposed to do? He's supposed to be a shepherd. And if the priest doesn't want to work until his 90s, he needs to find a way to make more priests. And one of the ways to make more priests is to create more happy Catholic marriages. So I really think priests should be encouraging young people just to meet and mingle, whether that be through young adult groups, whether that be through events. Really, I mean, I don't see a lot, maybe this is true at your parish, I don't see that like the parishes that I belong to, I don't see priests taking young people aside and saying, hey, come to this talk on Sunday, come do this, come do that. Just make more of an effort with the young people to get the priests more involved. That's just my idea, but I do have others. Another idea is to talk to the people on the confession line. I've been asked out on a date on the confession line. I do know a couple who has met on the confession line and got married. Meet someone on the confession line. Just look at the person next to you. If they're about the same age as you, I don't know, strike up a conversation, say, which mass do you usually go to? You know, I heard Father so-and-so is in there. He gives a great confession, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I love it. I love the idea of asking girls out on the confession line, or even saying what mass you usually go to and then saying hi afterwards and making it go from there. I've seen a lot of people say, no, don't ask people out on the confession line. That's too much. They're vulnerable when they're on the confession line. Dude, do you want to marry a practicing Catholic or not? If you meet a girl on the confession line, you know she's definitely a practicing Catholic because she cares enough about her soul to go to confession before Mass. So really, this is just a beautiful opportunity to meet people. I don't know, maybe start going to confession every week. Maybe go to confession at different churches just to see what's out there. You never know. So I recommend that. The next thing I'm going to recommend is Candid Dating. I actually tried this recently. This is virtual Catholic speed dating. They haven't like sponsored me or anything to say this. I tried it a few weeks ago. You get 7 dates. I signed up for the young adult speed dating for my age range in the Northeast. I'm in New Jersey and I was expecting to get like men from Maine and Rhode Island. I only got men in New Jersey, which was very nice. You get 7 dates. It's 6 minutes per date. There's like a minute and a half break in between. You can end the session early if you don't like the person. You can say, yes, you want to see this person again or no, and then you get your matches at the end. I actually did end up going on a date with someone I met from this Candid Catholic speed dating. It was wonderful. He was very, very religious. It was a great experience. I don't know what's going to happen there, but you know, it was really fun, and I highly recommend Candid Dating. So I will drop the link down below, and I don't know, give it a try. You never know what's going to happen. Like I said, everyone I met on there was from New Jersey, which was awesome because I'm from New Jersey. That being said, I don't know if that's true for everyone. I don't know how it works with the different ages. I know I've recommended it to some people in their 40s right now. Like, who knows if they'll offer time slots for people in their 40s. So just poke around, see what it's like, check out their Instagram. I don't know. Good luck with that. The other thing I'm going to recommend is also through Instagram, which is the Emily Wilson Daily Dose of Catholic matchmaking posts. I know there's other matchmaking posts out there. Check it out. People do get married and find their spouses and get engaged off those posts. So definitely check that out. God uses technology. And the last thing I'm going to recommend is Catholic Match. I know. I haven't been on Catholic Match in like 10 years, so I don't really know what's on there anymore. But a lot of people like it. A lot of people do meet. A lot of people do get married. Again, I live in the Northeast where there's tons and tons and tons of Catholics. So everyone I met who has met their spouse on Catholic Match was local, which was really, really nice. Again, if you live in like rural wherever and you're trying to meet someone, you might have to do long distance. I don't know. Some people, it really works out, the long distance dating. So give it a shot. I don't know what'll happen. I know a lot of people complain about it, but I don't know. I've met a lot of couples who have met someone on there, so it might work out for you. Definitely pray like the St. Anne Novena. I know a lot of couples who have met after praying that Novena. And young adult groups. I know. Young adult groups are very tricky and can be a little bit of a sore subject, but I have met some of my best friends through young adult groups. I've never met like a boyfriend or anything like that through a young adult group. So go to these young adult groups with open minds and go with the hope that you're going to meet friends and that you're going to grow in fellowship and faith. That's the only thing you can hope for. I've met some of my best friends in young adult groups. I've never met a boyfriend, but I've met some of my best friends. And you know, maybe one day my future husband will stumble into my young adult group. You have no idea. And this also comes like on the confession line. I'm always asking young men and women on the confession line, would you like to join my young adult group? Have you signed up for the emails? I even met one guy who said, oh, I'm on the emails, but I've never gone. I said, well, we have an event on Wednesday. And he ended up coming to the event. So you never know what's going to happen. I know many couples who have met through young adult events, not as many as you would think, but then I realized there are probably people who have met at young adult events and then they never go to another young adult event again because they've met someone and they feel like they don't need to go anymore, which is fine. You know, I understand if you're married, you don't want to go to young adult stuff anymore. I totally understand that, totally respect that. But it is a wonderful way to make friends, and I've met so many friends through it, so you never know what's going to happen. So that's my advice for Catholic dating, for meeting a Catholic spouse. Again, take it with a grain of salt because obviously I'm not married. Make sure on your Hinge profile, if you are a practicing Catholic, put that typical Sunday that you go to church. That's how all the practicing Catholic guys have found me. I have met many practicing Catholic men on Hinge that I've gone on dates with. I even had a practicing Catholic boyfriend that I met on Hinge, which was really great, but it didn't work out with him. And you never know, guys. Just keep praying, hoping, and don't worry. Pray, hope, and don't worry. Pray to St. Anne, pray to St. Raphael, pray to St. Anthony is also a good one for finding a spouse. If you're a woman, pray to St. Joseph to find a good Catholic man like St. Joseph. If you're a man, maybe pray to St. Joseph that you embody the virtues of St. Joseph so that you become a good Catholic husband. And you never know what God has in store. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you could let me know in the comments below, how did you meet your practicing Catholic boyfriend or spouse or what have you? How did your parents meet? I don't know. Put that all down below. If you think we should go back to arranged marriages, put it, why do you think we should go back to arranged marriages? And I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.